2 Peter 3, start in verse 15. And account that the long-suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also, according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, they twist, they distort, they pervert, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. That's 2 Peter 3, verses 15 and 16. The very next verse, verse 17, read it, study it in many translations, read it. You therefore, beloved, seeing you know these things before, beware lest you also, being led away with the error of the lawless, fall from your own steadfastness. That word should be lawless. It's athesmos, Strong's 113. So we see Peter warning against those who would pervert Paul, and many people out there pervert Paul and twist Paul. Do you? Just asking. I'm not saying you do, but some of you do. Then he says, after warning about those who would pervert Paul, he says in verse 17, the very next verse, beware lest you also, being led away with the error of the lawless, fall from your own steadfastness. Paul has been so perverted. Did you know that Paul said that keeping God's commandments is what really matters? And that you have to do the law. You have to be a doer of the law if you want to be saved. Don't believe me? 1 Corinthians 7, verse 19. Circumcision is nothing and uncircumcision is nothing, but keeping the commandments of God is what matters. Romans 2, verse 13. Also Paul, for not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. Now they're justified by faith. But if you're not a doer of the law, you haven't repented. And you haven't been converted. You're not under grace if you haven't repented. Paul didn't preach something new. Habakkuk 2, verse 4, and Genesis 15, verse 6 showed that righteousness comes by faith or belief. It was nothing new. The difference was the promised Messiah that those Old Testament sacrifices pointed to came. Read this book for yourself, please. Have a happy, joyous Sabbath, everyone. Peace all. Believe Paul.